gentlemen, this is Vince Miller. Thank you so much for joining me for these devotionals. I love having you here, by the way. Today we are in Daniel 7. Great chapter, isn't it? I mean, awesome chapter. It's going to get better in chapter 8. Just letting you know there's better stuff coming. But in this chapter, we're going to read verses 24 down through 26. Before I do, let's back up for a second. Remember where we're at. So Daniel has this vision, right? And in the vision, he sees some things that he doesn't understand. But he's standing in a courtroom of God, and there's a man there who helps him to interpret it. And what he's going to do is he's going to interpret the next part of the vision. And he's going to explain these horns, and then this strange little horn, which arises from this beast, which is mentioned in verse 8 and verse 20. So here's how the text reads. As for the 10 horns, out of this kingdom arise 10 kings, and another shall arise after them. That's the little one. He shall be different from the former ones, and shall put down 3 kings. So he's going to put down a triumvirate. He shall speak words against the Most High, and shall wear out the saints of the Most High, and shall think to change the times and the law. And they shall be given into his hand for a time, times, and half a time. But the court shall sit in judgment, and his dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. So basically what's happening here is this man who's interpreting the stuff for Daniel tells Daniel about the Antichrist. This is the same Antichrist foretold about in the book of Revelations, meaning that both Daniel, way back in history, and John in the future are going to see the arrival of the Antichrist. And he will rise in power, much like that of the Roman Empire over the earth, but he's going to be more vicious. And 3 things are going to happen during his reign. First, he's going to defile God. Second, he's going to wear down believers, that's us. And third, he's going to revise anything having to do with God, even altering seasons and laws. For some time, he's going to be very, very strong. And without a doubt, I think we, gentlemen, feel like we're moving in this direction in our world today. You know, what Daniel sees here is future suffering. And we got to remember that Daniel has suffered for a long time. He has suffered for 70 years under horrible kings. But in this night vision here, he learns that suffering in the future is going to get worse. That people ahead of him are going to suffer more than he did. This means, fellas, that we need to get ready. We need to be prepared to suffer even more than Daniel did, because suffering is coming. And now is the time to equip men who are prepared to suffer. So, while we prepare our minds and our hearts and our behaviors for suffering, you need to remember verse 26 here. Daniel 7:26, let me read it again. It states, but the court shall sit in judgment. That's God's court. And his dominion, that's the little horn, the coming Antichrist, shall be taken away. His dominion shall be taken away, to be consumed and destroyed to the end. You know, God here declares that 2 factors limit the Antichrist and the suffering that he's going to perpetuate in this life. First, he's limited by time because God determines time. Second, he is limited by dominion because God has ultimate dominion. So fellas, right now is the time to train yourself to remember those 2 things every time you suffer. Daniel was given this vision and the interpretation for us so that as we suffer, we have an anchor for our souls. Pray this blesses you today, fellas. I know it's hard to hear. Suffering is coming, so prepare right now. And with that, I love you, and I'll see you right back here again tomorrow.